The chains around her wrists, the crowd was silent. The air felt heavy with fear. Thick like fog, but hotter. 100 alien eyes stared forward, not blinking. In the center of the stone platform stood a girl, young, small, and trembling. Silver, chains wrapped around her thin wrists glowing softly as if alive. They hummed with power meant for control, not protection. Her name was Kayla. She did not cry. She did not beg. Her bright eyes, like glowing purple gems, looked up at the sky. The twin suns were rising slowly, just as they always did when someone was about to die. The sentence is death, the judge said. His voice echoed through the valley. His face was hidden behind a golden mask, his long red cloak trailing behind him. For crimes against the state, for treason, for rebellion, the girl shall be executed. Someone in the crowd cheered. Someone else threw a stone. It hit the ground near her feet. She did not flinch. From the edge of the crowd, a human man watched quietly. His name was Daniel. He wore simple clothes, a gray jacket, dark boots, and a small pack over his shoulder. He was a traveler, maybe an engineer. No one really knew. He had only arrived at this outpost 2 days ago, and now he was watching a girl die. He didn't know her. But something inside him twisted. Something didn't feel right. Kayla was too young, too calm, too quiet. She didn't look like a killer. She didn't look like a rebel. And her eyes, they weren't filled with anger or hate. They were filled with something else. Truth. Begin the charge, the judge said. A machine near the platform clicked to life. Blue sparks rose around the blade above her head. It wasn't a normal sword. It floated, powered by energy, and could slice through bone, stone, anything. Daniel's hands clenched. No one moved. No one spoke. But he took a step forward. Then, another. Stop, a guard said, pointing a weapon at him. Wait, Daniel said, holding up his hands. I need to say something. No one speaks, the guard snapped. Go back. Daniel looked at Kayla. She turned her head. Their eyes met for just a second. It felt like lightning had passed between them. She looked away. The blade started to glow brighter. Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at the judge, the guards, the silent crowd. All eyes were locked on the weapon about to fall. No one would save her. So he ran. He ran faster than he ever had. The guards shouted, but it was too late. He jumped up onto the platform and threw himself in front of Kayla. Gasps rose from the crowd. The machine buzzed and sparked as it paused. The blade froze in midair. What are you doing? A guard yelled. Daniel stood tall, arms wide, shielding Kayla behind him. She didn't speak. She only stared at his back, confused. I won't let you do this, Daniel said. She's just a girl. Move, the judge commanded. No, Daniel replied. Not until someone tells me what she really did. Show proof. Show anything. If she's guilty, why hasn't she said a word? Because she is dangerous, the judge growled. Daniel shook his head. Then why is she silent, scared? Chained like a thing, not a person. The guards moved closer. Step down, one of them said. Daniel didn't move. If you touch her, he said, you'll have to go through me. The crowd whispered. They had never seen this before. No one had ever stood in the way. Especially, not a human. Kayla looked at Daniel's back again. His hands were shaking, he was afraid, but he didn't run. Why? She whispered. Her voice was soft. She hadn't spoken in days. Daniel turned his head slightly. Because I believe you, he said. And for the first time, Kayla felt her heart beat with hope. The human who interrupted, death, the platform was still shaking. After Daniel stepped in front of the blade, everything stopped. No one expected it. Not the judge, not the guards, not even Kayla. 2 guards tackled Daniel to the ground. The crowd exploded into noise. Shouting, questions, panic. The execution had been interrupted by a stranger, a human, and no one knew what would happen next. Kayla was dragged backward. The glowing chains locked tighter around her wrists. Her legs were weak. but her eyes stayed on Daniel as he struggled under the weight of 2 armored soldiers. "Let him go," she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. It was the first time she had screamed since her trial began. The judge raised his hand again. Silence returned, but it was thinner now. Fragile. The kind that could break with one wrong move. "Take them both," he ordered coldly. Daniel was thrown into a steel transport cage. The door slammed shut with a loud bang. Kayla was thrown into the same cage across from him. The guards left them in darkness. The cage began to move. Inside the transport vehicle, Daniel sat on the cold floor. His lip was bleeding. One eye was already swelling. But he was breathing. Kayla sat in the corner, her arm still bound. She was staring at him, confused. "You're not from here," she said. "Nope," Daniel answered. "Then why did you do that?" Daniel shrugged. "Because it was wrong. Because they were going to kill you like your life didn't matter." She blinked. "And you think it does?" "Of course it does," he said. "Every life matters, even when others forget." Kayla looked away. Her eyes began to tear. She hated crying. It made her feel weak in front of others. But this wasn't pain. This was something else. Hope. "You're not the first to watch," she whispered. "But you're the first to care." The cage rolled to a stop. Outside, they were deep inside the city's underground. Not many knew this place existed. It was where they kept secrets, the ones too dangerous for the public to see. A bright light blinded Daniel as they pulled him out. This time, he was alone. Kayla was taken somewhere else. They threw him into a room. Metal walls, 1 table, 2 chairs. Minutes passed. Then a voice came from behind a mirror. "Who are you?" Daniel smiled weakly. "Just a guy who couldn't." "Keep watching." "You interrupted an execution of a state criminal," the voice said. "Why?" "Because it didn't feel right," Daniel said. "She didn't look like someone who wanted to destroy your world. She looked like someone who'd already lost hers." A pause. Then a door opened. A man entered. Tall, with dark skin, wearing a military coat. His eyes were sharp like broken glass. "You made a mistake, human," he said. "Do you even know what she is?" "I know she's a person," Daniel replied. "I know she's afraid. I know she didn't beg for her life. That tells me something." The man slammed his fist on the table. "She's part of a dead royal line," he growled. "Her people caused the collapse of 3 colonies. She carries the blood of the ancients, and a secret inside her that could destroy everything we've built." Daniel leaned in. "Then why kill her instead of listening to her?" The man didn't answer. "Maybe you're afraid of what she'll say," Daniel added. Silence filled the room again. Then the man spoke low, almost like a whisper. "You're not going back to the surface." Meanwhile, Kyla was placed inside, a glass cell. It wasn't meant to hold her, it was meant to study her. Scanners buzzed and lights blinked above her head. She closed her eyes. Memories returned. Her home, burning, her mother, bleeding, her people, vanishing into dust, and in her chest, the final piece, the one her mother hid inside her. A code, ancient and powerful. A living algorithm that connected her to the old machines buried deep in the planet. If she died, that code would vanish. The world would rot from the inside. Daniel was thrown into another cell, this time across from Kayla's. They couldn't speak, but they could see each other through the glass. He pressed his hand to the wall. She did the same. No words were needed. Not yet. But one thing was clear. They were both in danger, and something was rising beneath the city, something that had been asleep for centuries, something that Kayla's code could awaken. And Daniel had no idea yet that he was already bound to her fate. Secrets of a dying world. The night inside the underground prison was never truly dark. Lights buzzed above like insects trapped in glass. Cold metal walls hummed with power. Everything was silent, but never still. Daniel sat on the floor of his cell. His back ached. His wrists were bruised, and yet his eyes stayed fixed on one thing: Kayla. She was across the corridor, inside a glass chamber that was more like a lab than a cell. Machines circled her. Blinking lights scanned her skin, her bones, her blood. Her arms were strapped down, and yet she did not scream. She just stared at him. Daniel didn't understand what they were doing to her, but he knew one thing. They were afraid of her, and that meant she was important. Above ground, in the great halls of command, two alien leaders stood over a holographic map. It showed the planet's energy lines, all fading to red. "The core is failing," one of them whispered. "The system is too old. We were never meant to rule this world. We only inherited it." "What about the girl?" "Her blood carries the activation code. Can we force it out of her?" "Maybe. But if we fail, the entire planet might collapse." The two looked at each other. "Then we must try." Back underground, Kayla felt the cold needle enter her arm again. Her body twitched, not from pain but from what the machine pulled from her. Data. It wasn't just blood. It was a language, alive and ancient. The machines in the room began reacting, whirring, shaking, even glowing in patterns that no one there understood. But Kayla did. Deep inside her mind, doors were opening. Memories that were not hers. Visions of her ancestors. Of machines that healed planet. Machines that could destroy stars. Her mother's voice echoed in her ears. "If they find out what you carry, they will kill you. Hide it, protect it, until someone worthy stands beside you." Kayla's eyes opened. Daniel. He was the one. The machine sparked wildly. Alarms went off. A guard ran into Daniel's cell. "Stand up," he ordered. "Why?" Daniel asked. The guard didn't answer. He pulled Daniel out roughly, dragging him through the steel corridor. As they walked, Daniel saw strange things. Rooms filled with glowing stones, walls covered in ancient symbols, massive generators with cracks running through. "Damn, what is this place?" he asked. The guard didn't speak. They entered a chamber lit only by green light. A tall figure stood there, the same commander from before. "You asked for the truth," he said. "Here it is." He touched a screen. A hologram of the planet appeared, spinning slowly, dying slowly. "This world is powered by old machines," the commander said. "Machines left behind by the ones who ruled before us. They built it, we only use it, but now it is falling apart." "Then fix it," Daniel said. "We can't," the commander replied. "Only she can. The girl, Kayla. Her blood holds the last key to the core. If she dies, the planet dies too." Daniel's eyes widened. "So you were going to kill the one person who could save you?" "We didn't know at first. We thought she was a threat. Her people once destroyed 3 colonies. We thought killing her would bring peace. But now you know," Daniel said. "So what happens now?" The commander looked away. "We try to extract the code, even if it kills her." Daniel stepped forward. "Then you're worse than the ones who came before you." The commander's eyes burned. "Watch your mouth, human." "No," Daniel said. "You don't deserve her gift. If you kill her, you doom everyone." A long silence. Then the commander said, "Then save her, if you can." Daniel was thrown back into his cell. This time, he wasn't alone. Kayla was there, her body weak, her eyes dim. "What did they do to you?" Daniel asked, rushing to her side. "They tried to take the code," she whispered. "But it's not just in me, it's connected." "To what?" "To the planet," she said, "and to people." Daniel frowned. "People?" "Yes," she said, eyes locking on his. "You touched me, on the platform. Your body touched mine, and something passed into you." "What passed into me?" Daniel asked, heartbeat racing. Kayla slowly raised her hand and placed it on his chest. "You are part of the system now." Daniel shook his head. "That's not possible." But suddenly lights in the room flickered. The cell door buzzed. Daniel's hand lit up with a faint glow. Kayla smiled weakly. "You're connected to me now," she said. You're more than a human. And far beneath the prison, deep inside the earth, something ancient stirred. Race. Against the blades, Kayla could barely stand. Her body trembled from the machines, the scans, the injections. She had given them nothing, not because she was too weak, but because the code inside her refused to speak to monsters. Only Daniel had touched her soul without taking anything. Now, they were both back in chains. But something had changed. Daniel's hand still glowed with a soft blue light. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Kayla had seen this only once before, in a temple when she was a child. A guardian had shown her a human in the ancient records. Only one. The only species that could merge with the old code. Humans were never meant to rule, but they were meant to awaken. Above ground, the sky turned a strange color. Green clouds spun over the Capitol Tower. Wind screamed through empty streets. Lights flickered across the city's outer walls. Underground, the core's stability was breaking. Panic grew. Leaders argued. But the judge made his choice. Bring her back to the platform, he ordered. This time, no delay, no trial. End her. Daniel heard the order echo through the prison halls, his fists clenched. They're going to kill you again, he said, looking at Kayla. But not this time. Not if I can stop it. You can't fight them all, Kayla said softly. I don't need to fight all of them, Daniel said. I just need to run faster than the blade. The guards arrived. They pulled Kayla out. First, her body dragged across the floor. Daniel shouted, struggled, but they hit him hard and locked the cell. Goodbye, hero. One sneered. Daniel fell to the floor, dazed. His hand glowed brighter. The lights above him exploded. Then, the door slid open. No one touched it. Daniel slowly stood. His blood hummed. His skin burned. But it wasn't pain. It was awakening. On the execution platform, the crowd had returned. This time there was no silence. People screamed for blood. They had been told she was the cause of the storms, the shaking ground, the power failures. Lies were easy to spread. Fear was easier. Kayla stood in the center again. Her arms were chained. Her eyes were tired. But she did not bow her head. The blade above her buzzed louder. Then the judge raised his hand. For the safety of our world, this traitor must die. The crowd roared. The blade began to drop, but before it touched air, a blinding light cut across the stage. The energy shattered the blade mid-fall. Metal pieces flew into the sky, and from the smoke, Daniel stepped forward. His eyes burned with light. His chest pulsed like a living core, and the crowd went silent. He's alive, a soldier whispered. How did he get out? Daniel said nothing. He raised one hand, and the chains around Kayla's wrists snapped open. She fell forward. He caught her. You came back, she whispered. I never left, Daniel said. Behind them, the judge screamed, Kill them both! But the guards didn't move. Their weapons shorted out. The ground beneath them cracked. The city's core was responding to Daniel. The sky turned black. The towers dimmed. The earth below the platform opened slightly, revealing a hidden layer, a forgotten engine, ancient and alive. Kayla reached out to it. The code inside her sang. Daniel placed his hand beside hers. Their touch became one signal, and the machine woke. A beam of pure light shot into the sky. Storm clouds vanished. The wind stopped, and every machine on the planet paused, as if listening, watching, waiting for them. But not all were silent. From the edge of the city, a fleet of warships rose. A rogue commander had activated an old protocol. If the core is awakened by outsiders, destroy the city. Rockets launched. The people screamed, but Kayla turned to Daniel. Do you trust me? Yes, he said without a second thought. She grabbed his hand and jumped, off the platform, into the light below. They didn't fall. They were caught. The engine embraced them, and as the rockets hit the city, a shield rose from the earth, made of code, light, and truth. It swallowed the blast, and saved them all. Deep below, Daniel and Kayla stood in the heart of the ancient system. Lights danced around them. A voice spoke, not in words, but in feelings. One world must end for another to begin. Daniel looked at Kayla. She nodded. We're ready, the machine answered. And the real change began. The speech that shook the sky above the city. The sky was filled with smoke. The flames from the warship still danced in the clouds. Rubble covered the outer walls. Buildings were cracked. Power was flickering in and out across the towers, but the people were still alive, and they didn't know why. Down below, in the heart of the planet, Daniel stood inside the ancient machine's core. Beside him, Kayla rested her hand on a glowing pillar. Her face was pale. Her energy was fading. The system had taken so much from her, but she stayed standing. For them. The voice of the planet whispered again, soft, cold, and timeless. One must speak, or the silence will become death. Daniel looked at her. What does it mean? Kayla turned her tired eyes toward him. It means they don't need another weapon. They need a voice, someone to tell the truth. You mean me? Kayla nodded. The world listens to you now. You carry the signal. You are part of the code. Daniel swallowed hard. He had never given a speech in his life. He was no leader, no soldier. He was just a man who couldn't stand watching someone die, but that was enough. On the surface, the judge prepared to flee. The command center had gone dark. The power grid was falling. And worse, the people were asking questions. Why did the machines protect the girl? Why did the shield save the city? Why did the human glow like the old guardians? No one had answers. But then, the sky turned gold. Every screen, every comm tower, every device in every hand turned on. A face appeared, a human face. Daniel's. His voice came through every speaker, clear, honest, and stronger than steel. My name is Daniel, he said. I am not a leader. I am not from your world. I came here by accident, but I saw something wrong, and I couldn't look away. He paused. In the background, Kayla stood, her figure glowing with soft light. They told you she was a threat, Daniel continued. They told you she was dangerous, but they didn't tell you what she really is. She is your future. Inside her is a code, older than your cities, older than your towers. It was made to protect this world, to heal it, to connect all living things. And instead of protecting her, you almost killed her. The crowd across the city froze. Daniel's words weren't angry. They were sad, and that sadness was more powerful than rage. We don't need more fear, he said. We need understanding. We need peace, not because it's easy, but because it's right. He took a breath. This world doesn't need a master. It needs a guardian. Daniel turned to Kayla and reached out. And I believe she is that guardian. Kayla stepped forward. I am not your enemy, she said, her voice soft but firm. I never was. The screens pulsed with golden light. The earth rumbled. The energy of the planet responded not with violence, but with acceptance. In the Capitol Tower, the judge screamed, "Cut the signal, now!" But it was too late. Every screen in the city displayed the truth, and the people saw it, not just with their eyes, but with their hearts. A little girl in a broken village whispered to her brother, "She's like us." A wounded veteran looked up at the screen and said, "That human. He's one of them now." In homes, on ships, in markets and mountains, something shifted. The story had changed, forever. But the danger wasn't over. As Daniel's voice faded from the sky, a cold signal slipped through space. Far away, in the deep, dark edges of the galaxy, someone was listening. Someone who had always feared the return of the old code. A red eye blinked awake. An army that had been sleeping for centuries turned toward the light. They knew the signal. They had destroyed it once before. And now, they would try again. Back on the surface, Daniel collapsed to his knees. Kayla caught him. "You did it," she said. "No." he whispered. We did. But deep down, he knew something worse was coming, and they had only just begun. The girl who turned to fire, the wind over the capital had changed. It was no longer wild, no longer filled with smoke and fear. It was still, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. But deep beneath the ground in the oldest chamber of the world, something ancient was waking up. Not the machine Kayla had touched before, something older, something buried below even that, something that was never meant to rise again. Kayla stood over Daniel. He was weak, pale. The broadcast had drained him. The code inside him had reached every corner of the world. He was now connected to the entire planetary grid. But he was still just human, and his body couldn't hold that kind of power for long. Don't move, Kayla whispered. She placed her hand over his chest. A soft pulse of energy flowed through him. The ancient system responded to her voice like it remembered her, or feared her. Daniel opened his eyes slowly. Did it work? Kayla nodded. They listened. But before she could say more, the earth shook violently. Not from inside, but from above. An alarm echoed across the deep corridors of the system. The light around Kayla turned red, and a cold voice spoke in a language only she understood. They are coming. In the skies over the planet, a shadow moved. Not a ship, a fleet, not of their world, not of any known world. Dark vessels shaped like knives, cut through space. Their engines made no sound. Their surfaces absorbed light. They had no name in the common tongue, but Kayla knew them. The Ashborn, a race that had wiped out her people, a race that had feared the code inside her, a race that had buried her home in fire and silence. They were not conquerors. They were destroyers of memory. And they had felt the code return. Back in the control chamber, Kayla turned to the central pillar. The system pulsed like a heartbeat. She knew what she had to do. You can't, Daniel said, standing slowly. I have to, Kayla replied. They will destroy everything. The people, the planet, the system. You, Daniel took her hand. Not alone. Kayla looked at him, and for the first time, her voice cracked. If I do this, she said, I won't be the same. Then become something new, Daniel whispered. Something they can't stop. Kayla stepped into the pillar's light. Her body began to change. The markings on her skin glowed white. Her hair lifted into the air like smoke. Her feet left the floor. And then, flames burst from her chest. But they did not burn. They wrapped around her like armor. The system embraced her fully now. She wasn't just connected. She was becoming the code. Her voice echoed through the city, through every wall, every wire. I am Kayla, daughter of a forgotten line, protector of this world, carrier of the last code. And to the ones who come to erase us, I will burn your name from the stars. Above, the Ashborn fleet launched their first wave. Long black spears of plasma fell like rain. The city's shields rose, weak and broken. They wouldn't last. But before the strikes could land, a beam of fire shot into the sky. Kayla rose with it, her arms stretched wide. Her body was now made of light and flame. The Ashborn's plasma hit her directly and vanished, as if the fire had eaten it. In the control room, Daniel watched the readings. She's rewriting the laws, he whispered. The machine beside him responded, Host is now fully integrated. Systems unlocked. The city began to glow. The old weapons, ones no one had seen for centuries, rose from the ground. Turrets spun to life. Ancient drones lifted from silos, not to kill, but to defend. Kayla had awakened the last firewall of the planet, and she was standing at the center. But then, a new signal appeared on the screen. One ship, larger than the others. Its shape was wrong. Jagged, shifting, like a shadow in water. Daniel's blood turned cold. Kayla looked toward it. That's not a ship, she said. That's their leader. The Ashbourne commander had arrived and it had only one goal: erase the code. Erase Kayla. Erase the world. Kayla turned back to Daniel. "Get to the surface," she said. "No," he answered. "Please," she whispered. This might be goodbye." He shook his head. "Then let me say it the way I want to." He stepped close and kissed her, just once, softly. The fire around her didn't burn him. Instead, it warmed his soul. She smiled and flew into the sky to meet the destroyer, to finish what they started, to show them the girl they tried to kill had turned into fire. One life for a future. The sky was no longer a sky. It had become a battlefield of light and shadows. Above the capital, fire and silence clashed in the clouds. The last defender of the world, a girl once sentenced to die, now stood alone against the most feared enemy in the stars. Kayla. She floated in the air, wrapped in flame and code. Her eyes burned white. Her hair streamed behind her like a comet's tail. She was no longer just flesh and blood. She was a weapon made of truth, and across from her stood the Ashbourne commander. It was no face, no body. It was a shape that bent the sky, a thing made from darkness, rage, and the hunger to erase. "You should not exist," it said, in a voice like cracking stone. "Yet here I am," Kayla answered. Then the final battle began. The Ashbourne fired the first strike, a spear of black light that could pierce moons. Kayla raised her hands and the spear froze in place. Then, with a flick of her wrist, she shattered it into dust. But more came. Thousands of them, every weapon the Ashbourne had. Kayla danced through them all. Each step became a shield. Each breath became a counter-strike. She wasn't just fighting. She was commanding the system around her: air, energy, metal, memory. But she was slowing down, and far below, Daniel could feel it. On the ground, Daniel stood in the command tower watching it all. His hand still glowed faintly, linked to the system. Every beat of Kayla's heart echoed in his chest. Every time she took a hit, he felt it. "She can't win alone," he whispered. And then he made a choice. "Connect me," he said to the machine. Warning. Connection will end host life support. "Do it," Daniel said. He placed both hands on the control pillar and gave her everything. Kayla staggered mid-air. A blast had hit her chest, but before she could fall, light surged around her. Daniel's light. She felt him, his thoughts, his heartbeat, his strength. "You're not alone," she screamed, and the sky answered. Her flames turned blue. The Ashbourne shrieked. They had seen this before. Long ago. In the wars they tried to erase. In the heroes they tried to bury. The union of code and courage. And it was happening again. Kayla flew higher. She dodged the next strike, then punched through it. She moved like a storm now, not a girl. The Ashbourne ships shattered in her path. The commander retreated into its core, but Kayla followed. Into its ship, into its mind. And there, in a room of silence and dark mirrors, she found it. The Ashbourne heart. Not a machine. Not a soul. A prison. Inside, billions of voices screamed. All the lost, erased races. All the stolen memories. All the children who never got to grow up. Kayla looked at it, then closed her eyes, and said goodbye. Daniel collapsed. His hands left the console. His breathing stopped. The city went dark. No one knew why. No one could stop it. And in the sky, Kayla exploded into a light so bright that it covered the entire horizon. Then, silence. When the sun rose again, the sky was clear. No ships, no fire, no shadow, just light. People stepped outside slowly. They saw the shield gone, the towers standing, the children laughing, and in the center of the capital, where the fire had touched the earth, a crater. In that crater, Daniel, lying still, not breathing. But something strange happened. As the people gathered, a wind picked up, Not cold, not sharp, warm, alive. And in that wind, a voice. He gave everything for you. The ground under Daniel's body glowed, not with flame, but with Kayla's light. And then, his chest rose. Daniel gasped. Alive. Weeks passed. The world healed. Systems restored. The city renamed its towers after the lost and the brave. And Daniel walked among them, not as a soldier, not as a hero, just as the man who had once said, I believe her. But sometimes, at night, he would look at the stars and feel her there, not gone, not lost, a part of the world, watching, guiding, waiting. The girl they tried to kill, the girl who turned to fire, the girl who became their future,